Today on Bar Rescue. Sorry, Marissa. Today on AfterBuzz TV Bar Rescue Edition, a bar named Kelly's in St. Louis gets an interesting makeover. And a restaurant that was on Restaurant Impossible 2, somehow involved in this episode. We're going to go over it tonight on Bar Rescue, AfterBuzz TV, Bar Rescue AfterShow.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
If you get in trouble.
Hello, Bar Rescue fans. It's me, head bartender, Isaac. Little shout out to you Love Boat fans. No, it's Keven Undergaro. And once again, I'm alone at the bar. I'm doing it at these odd hours, unfortunately, so me, Lisa Marie, the rest of my crew, it's hard to pin them all down. Anyway, I will do my best. Tonight's episode, Land of Beer, Home of Misbehaved. And it's a bar in St. Louis. Goes by a name O'Kelly's, and I think the longer name is O'Kelly's at the Ballpark. It's an Irish pub. It looks like it's been around since 2012. We have an unqualified manager. We have a nephew who's out of control. A bar losing $6,500 a month. That's $700,000 in debt. An owner named Andrea who apparently lost a manager along the way and kind of put this ragtag team together to run this bar, and has been taking earnings from her restaurant, Mama on the Hill, to pay for this place. My general thoughts on this, to be honest, not my favorite, a bar rescue. And I don't know, sometimes I have to be careful because sometimes things are based on your moods. And I literally got off a plane, from a very long flight and a very long work day yesterday to watch Bar Rescue, and then of course to come do the show. So maybe that had something to do with it. But there were some other things that I just were unsettling to me. The fact that, as I said at the top of the show, Mama on the Hill was made over on a rival show, Restaurant Impossible. And that's just unsettling to me. That, to me, reeks of when we get these owners who really know how to put on a good show to get by casting people and get their bar made over. So I was a little bit unnerved, just by that. And then when I looked into the reviews of the Mama on the Hill Restaurant Impossible episode, I guess when they did an update, they pretty much admitted, well, the bar never really needed a makeover anyway. So anyway, I don't think that it's not that anyone on the show wasn't genuine, but I just felt, I felt it just wasn't the strongest bar rescue. I don't know, nothing here we haven't seen before. We've seen dirtier bars. We've seen less organized bars. We've had more unruly drunks. But there was enough here. And I guess if I didn't know that piece of information, I would have been fine. I would have said this was a B episode. But the reason I think it's more like a C plus is because, again, that just irked me because, it feels like these are people that know how to work the system. Like I remember last season there was a guy, and I forget what bar it was, but I felt like he just totally worked the system. And he was like, I'm a businessman and I get it. I'm going to get great promotion and I'm going to get an amazing makeover for my bar. And I'm going to just behave in any way that I think will get John Taffer and them in here, make them a pretty good, episode, and then give me what I want and move on. And that, we as viewers, I think we're all smart on that. We can tell. So I don't know, just little shenanigans. I mean, the lady seemed honest enough, Andrea, the owner. But anyway, I guess as this unfolds, maybe we'll hopefully what I'm saying is going to make more sense. So John has Andrea with him in the SUV, and they're seeing Kim, God bless her, who seems like a decent enough lady, but is not, by her own admission, not a manager, but in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I don't know, what someone like that could do. She did not look like anyone that, had the acumen for management of any kind, bar or otherwise. That was kind of funny, her big trucker cup. It didn't really pay off, though. They mentioned the fact that she keeps the big giant trucker cup on the bar to sip out of. And I guess Andrea had spoken to her about that, and that didn't really, I guess she didn't obey. I thought that was kind of funny. And we see the nephew who's being a goofball there and kind of doing what he wants, treating it like a frat house. And again, we've seen that before. She seems like she's horrified by it. And then John says, go in and fix it. And you could tell the way she was talking to Cameron that it seemed like a nephew, meaning she didn't, where it was family, and she didn't, she didn't have the authoritative control over him. I felt, and again, his response was, well, she's not a real manager, but still, that's not the, if you really were a good nephew and you were a good bartender, if you have a poor manager, you're going to hang in, but you're also going to do your job even better to make up for the fact that you have a bad manager. So, Marissa, are you in the booth? So Marissa's probably busy, but one of the things even here at AfterBuzz, if someone in our management positions are failing here, I'd like to think we've trained our underlings so well they'll actually step up and do what needs to be done. They'll do the manager's job. And then as an owner myself, eventually we sniff it out and we remove the flat tire, whoever the manager is. But, the fact that he reacted in the way he did, is also a shame on him as far as I'm concerned. It was kind of nice to see the guy, Dan from Barstool Sports, come back, along with a member of the Rams, Chris Long. And they come, and it's foamy and flat beer, which, again, we're down the street from Budweiser and Anheuser-Busch. So talk about something that's not, that you would think, like, really, of all places. But, it's funny, and I'll say this in defense of the bar. I have found that those bars in those areas, whether it's in New Orleans, on Bourbon Street, or St. Louis, where it's, near a ballpark and or near a stadium, quality just generally is less. People don't, I know in Boston we have Remy's, we have a bunch of different bars now that have opened, that even more that have opened up, and we had the Cask and Flag, and we had so many in Boston around Fenway Park. But service, food, beer, everything was just down a notch, sometimes down several notches, and you didn't care. You're going in there to get drunk with your friends, go to the game, get more drunk, come out, get drunk afterwards, go home. It's Boston. But I'll say that for a place like this, if it's based on that kind of crowd, I get it. I get where everything's not going to be perfect, but to see the foaminess and flatness of beer, that was disheartening. You could at least get that straight. Microwaving the burger, those nachos just strange looking. The Reuben nachos, always a mess. And even though we've seen dirtier kitchens and we've seen dirtier bars, this place had its share, using golf tees to plug up the bottles, and we had our flies in the bottles. We also had in the kitchen having those, I think it was 110 degree or something, like 104 degree cheese. I mean, and meat. So obviously it's food poisoning and things like that. We've seen it before, but still, it's something you really can't have at a bar. And God, if it doesn't just make you think twice about ordering food at these places. I mean, my girlfriend says it every time we watch a show. She's like, I'm never, ever, that's it, not ordering anything. And a lot of times when I go into these places too, just a word to the wise. So I just stick with the bottled beers. If you have any inkling that this is what the place is like, and I know it's hard to see, it's hard to tell because some of the places can even look decent until you peel the layers away. But that's why I always stick to my bottled beers for that reason, or things that are very, very simple that, just can't be screwed up. There's a confrontation between Andrea and the nephew Cameron, and again, it just seemed kind of lame. I don't want to jump ahead to the update because I found out some more information, but I guess I'll save it. And I'd love to get John's take on this episode too, because it just, I don't know. And again, I please, you guys, you can tweet at me at Undergaro. You can go to the YouTube site and leave comments, or you can comment up at iTunes if you're listening to us in audio. But tell me, like I said, I wish I had a panel here with me to tell me if I was crazy, or maybe I am just tired and in a bad mood. But yeah, it just seemed like everything we've seen before, and I would be okay with that if I didn't know that they went and did another renovation for their other restaurant with another show. And that just, and I don't blame the casting at Three Ball or at Spike, because sometimes it just gets by, unfortunately. The confrontation between the I think she's an aunt, he's called a nephew, but I never heard the word aunt exchanged. It just seemed very soft, and it was like, okay, you're gonna work better now. Okay, well, I'll try. And I felt like the only thing we got in terms of anything was Kim, was the non-manager manager. We see when the talk, you can already see it's leaning toward Tina, the more experienced bartender, that she's going to take over, and she's going to start she's going to manage this place. You kind of just get the feeling. I don't think it took a rocket scientist to see that, but again, just Lady Kim was like, of course she's not somebody that could run that bar. I guess, I don't know, if that's somebody you really thought would be able to run your bar, then this maybe was a good episode of a bar rescue, because it's clearly somebody who shouldn't have been running a bar, as I said. There was a couple of interesting, there was some takeaways here. I've done a lot of renovations. It's a hobby of mine that I really enjoy. I've never heard of a 45-degree angle, and that's obviously this bar has a 45-degree angled door, meaning it's a corner bar, but it's got the just the way the door is put. It's not on a 90-degree angle. It's 45. It kind of bisects the two walls, and I thought that was really just cool that John, I never heard that before, but I love that John pointed that out. And he mentioned the bones of the bar were good, the brick, the wood. He said just doesn't look cared for. So, and it wasn't like looks wise, if you even look at the before and after, it wasn't the worst looking bar that we've seen. It just looked like a kind of neighborhood dive bar. And just being again, going back to being a Red Sox fan, there's a lot of those out there that survived for years, that people went in and those owners just made a ton of money off just cranking out crappy food and stale beer. It's changed since the parks come up, and I know St. Louis has a beautiful stadium as well, so maybe the change is in order. But I like that John mentioned the bones weren't bad, and I also, that was a little shout out to that 45-degree door. I never heard the term, but I like it. We also learned that the importance of a clean glass, forget just in hygiene, but in the importance of a clean glass in a pour of a beer. I never realized that. Just the dirt or the soap residue, how much it can affect the consistency of the beer. So I thought that was kind of cool. I think any college geek knows that you you hold the cup at a 30-degree angle as you're pouring, and then you give a finish. This was not known by anyone at this bar other than Tina. The stress test was interesting because John brought out this technique, like, I'm going to give you guys $50 each. Again, like, I feel like John and the team from Bar Rescue did their job on this, as they always do. So John comes up with something original. Okay, here's $50 each, because I want you to experience what it's like to lose money. Because every night you guys come in here, and you all do what you want, but your check's there every Thursday or whenever payday is. But I'm going to give you something to lose. So you'll feel every time you make a mistake, it will cost you. And now you'll understand what it's costing the business. So it was an interesting way to kind of create a breakthrough. But at the same time, again, just felt wasted on the people we had. And as predicted, everybody, gave their money away with the exception of Tina. It seemed like there was a little bit of a rally from Cameron by the end of it. We had two Anheuser-Busch executives who came in, and they mentioned the same thing about the clean glass. And in the middle of the stress test, Kim quits. She can't pour beer. She can't help behind the bar. And they say, well, just do something. Well, we see no one's running out food. There's just a lot of other things that could be done. And just the lady's just not a leader. And it wasn't her fault, because she wasn't, first of all, she was put in a job she couldn't succeed at with her set of skills. And second of all, then she wasn't given those skills or trained or educated in the proper way to handle the job. So out the door she goes, and we shut the bar down. And then we have the sit down we always have, and it's John and Andrea. And, John nicely, gets her to admit that she's failed, that you can't just blame Kim. You didn't train her. And the lady's like, yep, I failed, I get it. And so it's like, whatever, la-da-da, okay. Again, it just feels like, yep, John. Just keep talking, I'll keep saying, and then give me my $500,000 renovation. We learned that the bar, he wants to tie the bar to history and to the city, which I thought was smart. When we come up with the new menu items, the waffle cone drink, based on the fact that St. Louis invented the waffle cone at the World's Fair, which I did not know, and I thought that was kind of cool. And then he's doing a Budweiser and barbecue kind of marinade in the kitchen, which I thought was neat. The building was built in 1899, so going back to the bones of the building being good. And John's going to own all that in his creative. And when we get to the creative, it's fantastic because he's got the Clydesdales all show up, which is perfect. Name gets changed to Pastimes on 4th. And he really did a nice job with the outside. So he took the the outside that was, like we said, decent bones. Had the 45-degree door, had the wood and the brick. And then John brings in, he puts in the gray colored paint, but then also really cool wood signing and those antique red lamps that he lines both sides of the building with, which I think is just phenomenal because they just so pop. And in we go. There's a giant mural of a St. Louis Stadium, and he brings in aged copper to make the bar look like it's been like that for 100 years, which, again, just genius. He's got them all in uniforms, suspenders, bow tie, and whatnot. And then, again, it's like, okay, it's all good. Now, here's where I think it's cool. Is we go to the black screen, and I'm expecting the whole fairy tale ending, and what we get is Cameron no longer works there. The bar, too many other sports bars in the neighborhood, new sports bars opened in the neighborhood, and they are now only open. The bar is only open for private events. So it was interesting that we kind of got the whole, like, this was going to be a fail, So I thought that was neat. I don't think it's neat that the bar failed, but I think it, again, just shows me these guys kind of got what they wanted, and then that was it. So then I went to Bar Rescue updates, and that's when I found out about Restaurant Impossible doing the restaurant, and I found out that As I said, the restaurant, even that they said should never even been renovated or updated because it was a pretty good place to begin with. That's what started upsetting me. I also saw the guy Cameron, the kid Cameron, stepped up and said that John Taffer told him to act drunk and obnoxious, and then at the end, he'll make him look like a good guy. Now, why I call bullshit on that, Cameron, I've done 2 rescues with John, and I was with him the time leading up to the renovation, during the renovation, and after. And his exchange is so limited with the people there. Like, he's the one that doesn't like the crazies. He doesn't like that stuff. He doesn't. He looks at the bars. You had Lisa Marie Joyce was on last week, and you heard her. Before cameras would go on, she'd say to him, John, like, "Oh, I hope they're crazy." Being a fan like the rest of us, we love the crazy. We love our pirates. However many minutes in we're into this episode, we love them. We love the cockroach guy. We love the Wonder Bar. Like, we love them. And John's like, no. Let's hope that we can save the bar and we can save them. That's what we need to be hoping for. We're here for business. And that's his take. And I know, because even when I try to get him to joke about those other people, he gets so aggravated. Because there's a time for it. He's there to get in, get out, make the business successful, move on to the next bar or his next project. It's just how his mind works. So I know that he wouldn't be saying to someone, okay, you do this, then I'll do that. That he doesn't do it like that. He just goes in very quickly, susses out a situation from what he sees and his instinct, and he just goes pedal to the metal, and that's it. There's never any sidebarring or coaching or any of that stuff with the people. Ever. Okay, so maybe this is the first one in 102 bars. I highly disagree. I think the kid's probably embarrassed, so he looked the way he did. Now, did some young producer maybe say that to him? A lot of times when you're an executive producer on a show, you're a talent show, you don't know what a second-year producer or first-year producer is who's green or is looking to create that big moment. You don't know what they're doing out there. So maybe one of them did say that, but I know John wouldn't. He wouldn't make himself that liable. So like that was like bullshit. And the kid to me seemed like, just in his these aren't professional actors. Yeah, you can be a bullshit artist, but you're not a professional actor. And to me, it seemed like a spoiled, like, frat boy kind of college kid. Not totally spoiled, but spoiled with his aunt and being able to do what he wanted, not having an authority figure as a manager to watch over him. And even the way he was with his aunt and the way she was with him, you could tell she was dainty with him. Anyway, and then there were a couple of reviews that were positive, and people really liked the makeover. But someone mentioned they went in there and there was no one in the place, and they ordered nachos, and it was a disaster. It took maybe a half hour to get them, and the stuff was crap, and there was no one in there. And it seems to me, because we're out of season, that's what the problem is in play here. So what we understand is the bar is for sale. I believe it was I thought I saw $575,000. I'm not sure, but the bar is for sale, and they're boasting that recently renovated. So they're boasting about what John did and all the work John put in, and they're trying to sell it because probably needs an owner that can devote him or herself's entire time to it. And again, we won't really be able to tell the success of it until the ballpark opens up. When the park opens up, that's when you'll be able to tell if this thing is a moneymaker or not. So it'll be interesting to follow. And anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys what you think about tonight's episode. See if I'm being a little too harsh. I'm super excited for next week because the Pirates are back. I'm so excited that they brought the Pirates back for a recon. I'm thrilled. So I would think they would not bring them back unless they bring them back to deal with lunatics. other lunatics. Now we do know that we see Mia react and she like just goes spastic, and we see that there's a used condom. So I'm super amped for next week because I feel like Bar Rescue does this to us. I say it every time. They give us an emotional, they give us a really good business one, and then they slip in the crazy. So I'm hoping next week we'll be getting the crazy. Marissa, are you in the booth, baby doll? So before we go out, I think it's important because this is a sports bar that we should mention. Just a little shout out to our friends at DraftKings.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys love sports, you'll probably love DraftKings. And what's big right now? March Madness. You have the NBA playoffs coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone's is drafting right now. They are having their favorite teams and their favorite players all together. So, but if you actually go to DraftKings.com and use the promo code BUZZ, that's BUZZ, you can sign up there free and put in your choices for like who you think is going to win that week, and hey, you might win up to $1 million. And if you're wrong, the great thing about DraftKings, it changes every week, so you get a new chance every week. So go to DraftKings.com, use the promo code BUZZ.
I know, Marissa, and I know you're big on it. And Marissa, we missed, speaking of basketball, because I was at WrestleMania, we missed Lakers, Celtics, we were supposed to see. And we missed the Clippers. And we missed the Clippers.
I know.
God, I'm so sad. You know what?
Hey, they won against the Lakers.
They did. And, by the way, they beat Golden State. They snapped the winning streak, a 54-game record. Is that crazy? Leave it to our Celtics. Leave it to DraftKings.
Playoffs.
I'm gonna do the DraftKings thing, because you know what? I think it's not that the Celtics can win it all, but they have the potential to make a mess for people.
Oh yeah, they're gonna give everyone a run.
They're gonna give everyone a hard time. You gotta love that. Listen, Mirsky.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming in for this quick and rather subdued episode of Bar Rescue. We will be back here next week. I should have either Lisa Marie or Mia, because of just based on the fact that it looks like Mia's really put on the spot next week, and I'd love to get her thoughts. At Undergaro for me. Again, please rate and comment on iTunes or at YouTube. And I'm genuinely to tell you guys, I want to know what you think about tonight. And if it's me, then I want to know. But I was a little underwhelmed by tonight's episode. Still, but you know what? A bad episode of Bar Rescue is still better than anything on TV, so I'm still happy. Okay, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.